Rogue Tier, we still winning. Magic Cardo, we extending. Dark Law, he still contending. Sunrise, your lights in it.
Yugi peoples, welcome to the deck profile that y'all have all been waiting for and asking me about. This will be my getting shifty heroes. You know, it's my D-shifter pure elemental hero deck. There's no vision heroes, no destiny heroes off in here. We running kind of old school bubble beat style with straight E heroes here. And as I was playing the deck one day before it turned into, you know, getting shifty off in here, I found out that, hey, I could actually main deck Shifter off in here and it would not cause any problems. So yeah, that's what we ended up doing. You know, there was one card that I ended up having to cut that I really would have left in. And you know, when you see my hand traps or my going second cards, you'll kind of see that, because I really wanted to include Bubble Man off in here, you know, for nostalgia purposes. But in the end, to decrease deck size, I ended up, you know, cutting the Bubble Man. But do know he is definitely playable inside of this style of the deck. So without further ado-s, here is the deck profile. We'll start off with the monsters, you know, the most important element of the deck. And you'll notice that my monster count is really low, just like with Bubble Beat. We got 3 solid soldiers. I know that is very irregular. You hardly ever see solid soldier and starter hero builds these days, and when you do, it's usually at 1, but he is like a very important puzzle piece to this deck. We got the 3 Shadow Mists. You know, in standard heroes, you'll usually only see 2 of them, but you're really trying to get to that mass change in this version, so, you know, you gotta run 3 of them. Only 2 Stratos. He's not the best normal summon inside of this deck because there aren't really any hero extenders. So, you know, he's just a special summon off of your boy Solid Soldier, off of a Hero Lives, and I really don't want to put 3 of them off in there. And when you look at my monster lineup, like I said, there aren't really any hero extender cards. There's no Fusion Destiny, there's no Polymerization, there's no Miracle Fusion. You know, it's just, hey, we're gonna make a rank 4 and we're gonna make Dark Law and we're gonna pass with that. So the idea behind the deck, the reason why I'm not running Vision Heroes and Destiny Heroes and stuff, is because a lot of times, honestly, I get tired of drawing those cards and not having the right pieces in order to make them work. I hate drawing Denier, I hate drawing Mally, I hate drawing 2 Mallies, I hate drawing Increase. You know, there are certain times where it's just like those cards, they just do not work well together if you don't draw like the other pieces to go with them. And so I decided to design my deck in such a way to where I don't have that issue, you know. It's just like I don't have to worry about, you know, drawing so many bricks. Hopefully I get to my Solid Soldier. There are multiple ways to get to it, you know, and if not, you know, I have level 4 extenders in order to get me where I need to be, most likely and hopefully. But you know, it turned out pretty good. This is my monster lineup. You know, you see it's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 monsters. I think like Bubble Beat was probably like 9. You know, it could have been between like 9 and 11, depending on how you wanted to run your version. But, you know, I found that this monster count works really well. You know, you can always add in that extra Stratos if you feel like it. But I feel like Solid Soldier in this version of the deck is definitely your best normal summon. That's who you want to be normal summoning with this deck, is Solid Soldier. So, you know, playing 3 Stratos is probably not needed. Liquid Soldier is, you know, pretty much our follow-up play, or our boy Graceful Charity, as I like to call him, even though he's not using his Graceful Charity effect in this deck. He's basically, you know, like an instant rank 4, or, you know, instant go get mass change when you have your boy Shadow Mist off inside of there. And then the Spirit of Neos, you don't even really see him in any, you know, regular hero builds, but inside of this build, he works pretty well. He's really good to get follow-up, to be able to make a rank 7, to be able to steal your opponent's monsters, you know, or to be able to make a rank 7 in order to attack and get Zeus out. He saved me so many times. You know, people like to hit us with Regeki and Dark Hole and Lightning Storm and stuff now, and when they do that, you know, it's your boy Spirit of Neos to the rescue, unless you're playing against Scareclaw and they have Fairy Meteor Crush and like plus 4,000 attack, and can attack 4 times, then okay, yeah, he can't save you from that. But other than that, he's gonna save you from a lot of battles, you know, and I mean from losing a lot of duels, battles, you know, if they don't have a way to out him, because he can't be destroyed by battle. And like I said, he's gonna search that instant contact and give you follow up for next turn. So, yep, that's my monster lineup right there. The only thing I would probably change about this is adding in the elemental hero Honest Neos. You know, it's been a while since I had played, and you know, the bestial monsters have had like a big impact on the meta. And yeah, that 2500 attack is, you know, pretty solid against heroes when Dark Laws only got 2400. So Honest Neos is a very strong consideration for going into this deck. You know, I hate to put the deck up to 42 cards, and the reason for that is because I want to increase my chances of drawing that shifter, because, you know, a lot of times when you win it, when you draw it, you're going to win it, you know, depending on the deck that you're playing against. So yeah, so I played it at 41 cards, you know, just to maximize my chances of drawing that shifter and being able to win, you know, riding on his coattails. So that's my monster lineup. 10 monsters. The only thing, like I said, I would probably change is the addition of the Honest Neos off in there. So yeah, this next cards are pretty much, you know, my going second cards. We got our boy who has, you know, earned a spot in the title of what I like to call my deck. This is the reason, this is how we get Shifty with the D shifter right there. We main deck 3 of those. We got 3 super polys, 3 triple T, and then 3 imperms. All right, so yeah, I really wanted to be in a main deck. D shifter is so good against so many decks this format right now, and I felt like my deck could accommodate running him, you know, running them full count at 3. You know, if I draw the extra ones later on, in which I did, I think in my game 3 matchup against, not game 3 matchup, but in my game 2 matchup against the Tournaments deck, I did open up 2 D shifters, but you know, it didn't really matter. All you need is 1 D shifter to win that one, and then, you know, I can discard the other one off of Super Poly or whatever. So yeah. And then we got our 3 Super Poly. The card, it does not work very well where the hero lives, but it's so good in breaking boards, and I really wanted to avoid playing other hand traps because, like I said, the Bubble Man was in here at first, you know, so I wanted to have cards that I could either play or set down and no hand traps, you know, besides the D shifter, because it's almost like a win condition right there. So you got your 3 super polys, perform magnificently. It's so good now that we have Garuda. It's just a really amazing card. And then, you know, the other card is pretty good, whether you're going first or second. Triple Texas Talents. You know, I stole quite a few monsters with this thing, laid them over with Zeus, linked them with the Dark, and, you know, Triple Texas Talents was just like awesomely amazing. Now, I can't say that going first, it wasn't all that great, because a lot of people are running the Bestials and not normal hand traps, but outside of Imperm. So it's like Triple Texas Talents going first was not all that amazing. And, you know, I'm considering actually like moving it down or moving it over to the side deck, and probably, you know, trying to make room for that Honest Neos, or, you know, even the In Shuffle. Like, I didn't play In Shuffle, which is very surprisingly in a how do you say, a pure E-Hero deck, but, you know, I'll explain my reasoning behind that after, towards the end of the deck profile. And then you got your 3 Imperms, because you still got to kind of worry about what is that deck, Flowunderies. You don't want to get flundered. So yeah, you know, Triple Texas Talents and Imperm were, you know, kind of off in there for those 2 decks also. You know, it's pretty good to be able to steal the statue, or to, if they couldn't get statue, steal the Impin, you know, and be able to play Yu-Gi-Oh somehow. So those are my going second cards. There are 9 of them. I probably wouldn't change, you know, the shifter, the super poly, and the imperm. The triple Texas Talents, you know, can be kind of changed ins and out. Like, without people running the, you know, stuff like Ash and Effect Veiler, Ghost Bell, and stuff like that. Like, they were using Bestials, but against my deck, there was no reason to activate them during my main phase or anything. You know, during my end phase, they were just like, you know, banish the shifter, bring out the Magnamut. So, you know, Triple Tactics was kind of dead inside of this deck when going first. So, you know, that's the thing to consider when, if you're thinking about playing this deck, is, you know, Triple Tactics Talents is not really needed. These other ones, I say keep them in. I was actually, like, you know, thinking about, like I said, playing In Shuffle I definitely want to add in the Honest Neos, and those are prime suspects that could replace those triple tactics talents off inside of there. So those are my going second cards right there. And now we got our spell card lineup. Of course, we got to play 3 A Hero Lives. You know, pay half your life points to win the game. Hey, if you gotta do it, you gotta do it. We used to do it with Solemn Judgment back in the day. I'm gonna do it with A Hero Lives now. We got our 3 E-calls because the monster count is really low. You want to be able to search out the key hero that you need to, finish up your little strategy. Oh, I should have put this over here. 3 E-calls with Rhoda. Yeah, we full went out on searchers. 3 mass change, of course, because Dark Law is winning games. 3 Pot of Prosperities for consistency. It just kind of sucks when you have to get rid of the extra deck, especially if you don't know what you're playing against, trying to decide, which ones to keep and which ones to take out. It did cost me a game because I think I lost 2 games because I Pot of Prosperity out like the wrong thing. One time it was Mud Dragon and the other time it was Den. I actually needed Den in order to be able to win the game. But, it is what it is. 3 A Hero Lives, 3 emergency calls, 1 Rhoda. The monster count is really, really low, so you want to have those in order to, get to your pieces. 3 mass change, of course, because we want Dark Law out there on the board. 3 Pot of Prosperities for consistency. And then Instant Contact is, a great extender. It's also searchable inside of this deck. And then, Called by the Grave because, Tearlaments are here. And, among other decks that need the graveyard, let's go ahead and play the one of. Hopefully get a sack out of it. So yeah, the spell card lineup, is kind of pretty standard for heroes. I mean, not really necessarily standard in the ratios, but standard in, the spells that you would run. Now, you notice there's no Polymerization, there's no Miracle Fusion, there's no Fusion Destinies. And, the only reason why Fusion Destiny isn't off in here is because I don't want to run the Destiny Hero monsters. I don't want to draw them. Like, I get so tired of drawing 2 Mallies or drawing Mally and Denier and not having them not do anything. Also, kind of like the same situation with Polymerization and Miracle Fusion. There were just too many times where you open up with them in your hand and you don't have the pieces in order to do what you want to do with them to make things happen. So, instead of, risking drawing those and losing games because I drew them at the wrong time, I just decided to go ahead and try playing without that stuff, cut it out, get down to like the bare basics, something very, very simple things, a little combo that's not going to take 15 minutes in order for me to do, just get out there, play the game, and, leave it up to the decks to decide, with a little bit of skill off in there to who's going to win the game. So, this is my spell card lineup. Big consideration to in shuffle. I did not play it in this version. I'm really considering at least trying it out since I am playing pure E-Heroes. I don't see any harm that it could do running it off in there. The only reason why I really didn't run it is because, it's the same thing with Polymerization, the same thing with Polymerization, with Miracle Fusion, and the Fusion Destinies, is that sometimes, if I didn't draw a monster or a way to get to a monster, it's just going to be a dead card. So, I decided not to run it, but I'm probably going to try it, now that I see like how good and how effective the deck is going to be. I feel like, I can experiment a little bit more, try to give myself, more ways to be able to win the game, because in shuffle, I feel like it's one of those cards that, inside of this deck is just it's kind of like a win more, type situation, because most of the time, you draw good enough to be able to win the game. It's very rarely that I draw just like Stratos by itself or Solid Soldier by itself and just not be able to do anything. So, it is what it is. I'm gonna give it a try. Y'all give it a try. Y'all let me know how it works out for y'all. I'll let y'all know how it works out for me, and we'll see if it's got a spot inside of this deck. So there we go with the spell lineup. And then the last thing is the traps. Y'all saw the 3 imperms off in there. So, my remaining traps are just 3 Shea Brigadines. Yep. I feel like I really like this card. I like to be able to make Time Thief Redoer. It's a pretty good option for those decks where Abyss Dweller or Babuska might not be as effective, or even trap decks. Just like it can bounce any face up card, as long as you got that trap on there, especially against playing against trap decks, you steal the trap, be able to bounce the stuff up like goes in match. What is the other thing? There can only be one. Just stuff like that. You can bounce it, get it off the board, and not have to worry about it at least for a turn while you try to kill your opponent. There are 3 of them off in there. Extenders are hard to come by inside of this deck. I mean, so, I wanted to have something that would work pretty good, and would also, the thing, about making Time Thief Redoer, is the draw power. Sometimes you hit that spell card and you'll be able to draw something too, so it gives a little bit of spell power to this deck. The 3 Shade Brigadines, there is an option to go down to 2. Then you would have the 2 Shade Brigadines and the 2 Instant Contacts, kind of as extenders, in which I also consider a Hero Lives an extender, so this is, you want to try your best to get three level 4s out to the board so that you can make an Exceed and still have Dark Law like that. So these cards perform phenomenally. Shout out to my boy Christian Greathouse, because 2 of these are his. For some reason I could not find Shade Brigadines, so he let me borrow some. They came in big handy. Appreciate you, big homie. And that's the main deck. It is 41 cards. It was 42 with Bubble Man. I decided to cut it out. And actually, it kind of was like 40 before I added in the 3rd Shade Brigadine. But I really felt like I wanted to run those. I really wanted to be able to make Redoer in certain situations. So that is that. Now we'll go into the extra deck. The extra deck space is so tight, man. It kind of really sucks because there's so many cards that you could play off of here. Other super poly targets for, specific matchups. Other rank 4s that, might be more effective, but the extra deck is just so tight. It's kind of hard to fit everything off in there like you want to. So first we'll start off with the Exceed monsters. Of course, no Exceed XYZ deck is complete without your boy Zeus. So we got your Zeus out there, the uncommon card that people are so surprised when they see me play. But Spirit of Neos, Search an Instant Contact is an instant rank 4, so we played the big eye. I wish there was another rank 7 that I could play that was like as game changing as his effect, since you can't attack with him. It's just kind of like, he sits there in defense position without a Zeus on top of him unless you stole a XYZ or are able to make a XYZ in order to put Zeus on top of him. Time Thief Redoer, MVP, I feel like whenever he hit the board in my final matchup, which I didn't get to record because I only had like 20, I think, it was less than 20. I think it was like 13% battery life, and it wouldn't have made it through recording. So, but there was one point where I had like 5 materials on him, and I was gonna put Zeus on him, and I forget what Kobe activated, but it kept that 6 material Zeus from hitting the board. But me and him were kind of like fighting to a standstill there, and I didn't have to use my Redoer's effect, and yeah, he had 5 materials up under him going into my turn, and I tried to slap Zeus on top of it, and I forget what he did to it. He definitely wasn't having that. So, our boy Babuska, our standard opening board monster that we want to have out there, is usually like, I call it my dynamic duo. It's Babuska, Dark Law, monster negate, a board, a floodgate monster negate, and a floodgate banish. You use out on the Dark Law's ability to banish a card from hand when they search, but the effect to still banish all their cards going to the graveyard is still really good, and it keeps them from being able to attack over him with the bestial monsters because they're in defense position because of Babuska. And then of course MVP this format, Abyss Dweller. He's that card that you kind of want to activate in the standby phase. Most definitely, decreases chances of you getting hit with triple T, so that they can steal your Dark Law or whatever. And, it plays around Dark Ruler that everybody's playing. So, Abyss Dweller definitely came in, handy there. A lot of times you're able to make it with instant contact, and you use the Neospatian, one of the Neospatians, so it's a water, so you have your boy at 2200 also. You never know when that might come up. So those are the XYZs, Exceed monsters that I run. I really like Time Thief Redoer, and I really like Big Eye. I kind of feel like, you know, the two of them are kind of interchangeable depending on your play style. You know, sometimes I wish there was a, you know, a more kind of like a, I really wanted to have room for the Utopia monsters off of here to be able to OTK a little bit easier, but you know that takes up a little bit of extra space inside of the main deck, as well as, you know, the extra deck, because then you got to have, what's his name, the one who goes to go search for the spell card, and then, you know, the one to put on top of them. So, you know, unfortunately there's not enough room for that off in there. Running Super Poly, I felt like Super Poly was the better call. So those are my Exceed monsters. Then you got your fusion monsters here. Oh, let's go with the mass heroes on that account first. So we got the 2 Dark Law, and then 1 Blast, 1 Den with 3 mass change, you know, Stratos and Solid Soldier. You want to go ahead and have those. This card is so good when you're able to make him, you know, make him when you mass change that Solid Soldier and get the special summon another hero as well. Like, it can really come in handy. All right, and then my 2 fusion monsters that are instant contact targets. This thing, like I said, you know, it lets you make any rank 4 that you're trying to go into with instant contact if you need to do that. He makes Abyss Dweller be at 2200, so you have that boosted attack. The Sunrise, you know, I know you don't get his effect to search for Miracle Fusion, you know, but he's basically there as, you know, level 7 in order to be able to make our Big Eye, you know, so that's what he's there for. Den, Blast, bouncing stuff, Dark Law, of course, MVP this deck, you know, this is it. That's that right there. Not too much to say about those. Y'all know those cards right there. We don't need to go too much into those. Then we got our Super Poly targets here. Dracos, the Pelia, you know, great card. The Garuda, even better card. I love that card. And Mud Dragon, you know, they all, I think like these two, truly MVPs when you're running Super Poly in there. You know, depending on the matchup, it's like, depending on the matchup and the player, you know, kind of being recognizable with their play style, you know, trying to, also trying to think about what affects their deck to most. You know, you have to think about, do I want to activate Super Poly first, or do I want to take my chances and try to see if I can activate this Hero Lives and see if they let it slide through. You know, it just really kind of depends on the matchup, what really hurts their deck, and, you know, what board negates and stuff they have out on the board, because you just got to remember that once you activate that Super Poly, you cannot after you activate that Super Poly, you know, your Hero Lives is probably kind of dead, depending on, you know, what's going to happen. Or, you know, you also have the options, you know, I like these. These are really, really good, especially Garuda. So that's those right there. And then the 1 Link monster we have off in there, Dark the Dark Charmer. He came in kind of pretty handy. I don't really have a way to get rid of monsters that I steal with triple tactics talents unless I link them off, and I feel like, you know, in most matchups the predominant amount of the monsters that I'm going to be sealing is going to be Dark. So, you know, we make Dark the Dark Charmer, and that's what he's off in there for. You know, I wish I could fit Access Code Talker, maybe Celine, and play more Effect Veilers, you know, but like I said, the extra deck is really, really, really tight, and that's the way I ran it for, you know, this tournament. It might change up a little bit just to try different things and see what's more effective. All right, then we got our side deck here, our spells. We got 3 Lightning Storm, 3 Dark Rulers, very strong cards. Y'all saw this one put in where when I played against Exorcisters, I decided this in when I was going second, and it destroyed like all 3 of his back rows. Dark Ruler, I don't think I actually had to side this in any game. Like, even when I played against the Tier Elements deck, I opted to just lead. I don't think I switched out anything, and, you know, I just kind of left it the same way it was because it was pretty good in the matchup. I think I might have switched out 2 cards, and I'm trying to remember what exactly the 2 cards were, but I might not have actually switched anything at all. I think I left it, you know, pretty much the same. Oh, actually, no. I think I might have taken out, you know, 2 of the cards in order to put in 2 Lightning Storms because, you know, they can run a lot of back row stuff that'll, you know, really mess up your combos and stuff. So yeah, 3 Dark Ruler. I don't think I used Dark Ruler all day. I don't even remember if I sided in, but you gotta have it. And then the 3 Lightning Storm, I sided those in. That card's really, really good. I love Lightning Storm. Our rest of our extra deck, 3 Evenly Match, you know, stuff for Flunder or, you know, any kind of crazy rogue matchup, mirror matches. You know, this card's like truly effective. It puts in a lot of work. 3D barriers because fusions and XYZs are kind of dominating the format. And, it's good to be able to stop them for a turn to be able to put out Dark Law next turn. And then our 3 deck Devi viruses, we're really kind of playing like a Dark Law Turbo here. So you're going to get a Dark Monster with 2k attack. And, also you play Time Thief Redoer, which can be used to the same effect. Also, what's his name? Big Eye, in certain situations. Deck Devi is going to win you games against, Sprite. I feel like it's really good, pretty good against Sprite and also against Flunder. Just being able to hit them, take away all their little monsters to where they can't do anything can be quite a hindrance to them sometimes. So I decided to run Deck Devi for, decks like that. And it's also really cool when you hit it with and you're able to have Dark Law out there and you hit them with the deck Devi. It's pretty nice. So 15 card side deck, mostly traps. I didn't really use too much of it because it just seemed like my main deck was really effective. Going first, I did side in, D barrier. There's no point not playing it. It's really good card that can buy you a turn. It will shut off your Dark Law, so keep that in mind. But usually if you're activating it, you're stopping your opponent from doing something a lot worse to your Dark Law. So that is my getting shifty hero deck. 41 cards, main deck in D-Shifter, using that to buy a turn to get out your Dark Law and just banish even more stuff. The deck performed very well. Me, as a duelist, I did not perform very well that tournament, so I'm not going to lie. Dark Law and Shifter kind of carried me for that tournament because I made a lot of play mistakes, a lot of bad decisions, but luckily, the deck was well designed and, it was pretty effective against the meta. Like, honestly, I wasn't expecting it to do too well against rogue decks, especially like decks like Exo Sisters and Branded, because D-Shifter has like a little bit of effect on them, but not too much to where it's like gonna win you the game against them. And there were a couple of times where D-Shifter played it against me. I think in my game 2 match in the finals against Kobe, he D-Shifted me and it didn't do anything. So yeah, it didn't matter at all, and I ended up winning that game. Yeah. So, it's cool to be able to play D-Shifter, to not have to worry about it. Hopefully, you don't play against too many Flunders because they're the main deck that runs it. But, I was able to win my rogue matchups. The only deck that, I feel like are the only cards that really give the deck trouble are Bestials. Like that 2500 attack is, pretty effective when you're trying to keep out your boy Dark Law. So, keep that in mind. Honest Neo should probably be in there somewhere. And yeah, so any questions, if y'all want to see, there's probably no point in doing a test hand video, draws are, like maybe I can, because there's no really complicated combos with this deck. You put out an XYZ and you put out Dark Law and you try to win the game from there. My turns are very short, no 15-minute 20-minute turns. If we're going to time, it's because my opponent refuses to believe that they can't out my Dark Law, or it's because they spent like 20 minutes trying to combo, trying to remember that Dark Law is coming for them after they end their turn. So yeah, that's the deck profile. Hope y'all enjoyed it. I'm very nostalgic. Y'all know I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh since like Metal Raiders and stuff, so I like my E-Heroes. We're gonna keep an E-Hero in for a little bit. I'm gonna try some things with this deck and see if I can improve it, and if not, and the format shifts and changes, we gonna roll with it. I thank y'all for all the comments, about my creativity and thinking outside of the box. I feel like, sometimes you gotta change it up. You gotta give them something new and different. One of the comments, I made, or somebody made, Mondo, I've been playing branded heroes for a minute, and I think even like the last 2 tournaments I played in with branded heroes, I actually won. I know I definitely won about 2 or 3 weeks ago when I played with it. So yeah, and he thought I was on branded heroes and he got surprised with getting shifty heroes, and yeah, it was it was a pretty good thing, but I appreciate it. I do try to be creative with it. I try to think outside of the box. Y'all see me play branded heroes or sold heroes, Predator playing heroes. I really like, Predator heroes right now. like, well, not right now, but I really like the idea of being able to play it. But the reason why I don't, and also reason why I'm not playing the Soul Day Heroes, is because, you know, a lot of it really depends on what's his name, the artifact Scythe, and you know, yeah, he can just get banished by a bestial monster right now, so I don't feel like he's the way to go. Now with a Soul Day Heroes, you know, it quite could be, because you do get to make the Appaloosa, but you know, the thing about that is, like, they can hit your Mally Boy, or you know, your Denier and stuff before you start getting that far. So yeah, that kind of sucks. So you know, that's another reason why I'm not playing Destiny Heroes and all that other stuff right now, is because, you know, bestials, you know, tend to banish that stuff pretty well. And you know, one of the things I like about this deck is, you know, there's not, you got the, what is it, the 3D shifters and the 3 shadow mist, and you know, those are pretty much my dark monsters. So depending on the hand that I drew and how I play it, I don't have to put my shadow mist into the graveyard. And if I didn't play the D-berry, I mean, if I didn't play the D-shifter, they don't have a way for their bestial monsters to hit the board. So yeah, that's that right there. I hope y'all enjoyed the deck profile. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know what y'all would change. I appreciate y'all for staying a while to listen, and I will catch y'all on the next visual.
Ain't nobody messing with the masked hero, king of games. Mask off, now you see that a hero lives. I pay half and you ask, but I'm winning games. There ain't another hero that surpasses me.